Welcome back to the Little Five. There is a lot of ground to cover here. We have the electrical work going in, as well as the siding being put on the house. So this is all starting to come together. The roof is on, the land is cleared, the house is pretty much almost done from the outside. The inside still needs a lot of work, but it is really starting to come together really fast. So let's check it out.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and my dream is to turn these 5 acres of raw forest into a livable home, one project at a time. This is the Little Five.
So as you can see here, all of the wiring has been installed for the house, all of the electrical. Thankfully, none of these wires are actually live right now because the house itself is not connected to any kind of city electrical grids. So the wires are installed, they're just not live. So none of this is going to shock me or anything. But right here is the control panel for the entire house. The electrical panel where everything kind of flows up and out and away towards the rest of the house, and I will walk you through each and every room so you can see the electrical wiring that went into that. This is on the far side of my garage though, and pretty close to one of the doors, which, as you saw in the intro to this video, on the other side of this wall is that electrical meter that the electrical company can come in and check on every once in a while. But yeah, so this is just the control panel, the electrical panel, where all the wiring comes, and you can flip switches or breakers here. If you pop a breaker because you're plugging into anything, which I've done in the past, you can come flip the breaker here. There is breakers being installed for a future generator, since I do live out in an area that has a lot of storms, a lot of power, trees fall on power lines, and power gets lost out here in the woods, often in the winter times, in the fall times, sometimes in the spring when the winds are picking up. But it's good to have a generator. But I can't afford a generator at the moment, maybe in about a year or so, but they are planning ahead for that. So if you can plan ahead for future items like a generator, then be sure to ask your electrician about that before they go installing everything, because planning ahead will save you a lot of money and time and energy later down the line. Just something to think about. So for those who are wondering about the process for what is it like building your own house, especially when it comes to the electrical side of things, my electrician came on site, probably almost a month ago, I'd say, maybe 3 weeks ago, and he walked through the whole house with me to get a feel for where do I envision having outlets, where do I envision having lights, what kinds of lights do I want. And if you are able to do that or request that from your builder, just to have that time to walk through the house with the electrician to gauge on what kinds of things you want in your home, because ultimately it is your home, you're paying for it, so you should have a say in where things go if you're the one building this house or working with a custom builder to build your house. But it is super, super, super helpful. It's very much of a blessing to be able to have the opportunity and walk through the house and decide where you want things, and also get the electrician's feedback, because they're the experts here. This is what they do for a living. This is their career path. This is what they've thoroughly studied and worked with each and every day. So they have an idea exactly of what the laws are, what the county codes are, and also what works best for your average home. In my county, there is a law, at least in my state, my county, there's a law for rooms where electrical outlets have to be placed within 12 feet of each other. But depending on where you want those electrical outlets, do you want them on the floor, or do you want them higher up on the ceiling for like a TV mount? The electrician's going to really be able to give suggestions and also give an idea of what would work best for this room. So having that ability to walk through the home with your electrician, I definitely highly recommend it. It will save you a lot of time and energy and effort of having to figure out that kind of stuff later on of, hey, I wish I would have had an electrical outlet here, or I wish I would have put an extra light here. Just being able to talk those things through with your electrician, highly recommend it. So I want to go over some of the common mistakes that people can make or regrets that people can have when it comes to the installation of electrical. And the first common mistake would be outlets and not putting in enough outlets. So when you're building your house, and if you are able to walk through the house before the electrical goes in and actually have a conversation with your electrician, it's really vital and important to think about where you want outlets and how many outlets you would like. Maybe not an overall number, but just go through each room and point, hey, I would love an outlet here or on this wall or on that wall. The state or county you're in has a minimum requirement of outlets that you have to have, but they don't have a maximum. Your maximum is determined by your budget. So if you are able to put in more outlets than you might even need, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? So you really have to decide, hey, I'm going to be vacuuming in this room and the cord's not going to reach all the way across the room. So I would like an extra outlet over here or in the hallway or even in the ceiling or up on higher on the wall for a TV mount, which I can show you later on. So really just think about that. That's the number one mistake, is not putting in enough outlets or planning for the future. Speaking of outlets, I'd say the second mistake would be not putting enough outlets in your garage as well as the exterior of your house. So one thing that your electrician might offer, hopefully will, mine did, is having exterior outlets in the eaves of your roof for things like Christmas lights or security cameras, which I will show you. So here's a perfect example for you. Right underneath the eaves here on the corner of my house is an outlet. You can just barely see it underneath there, but there is an outlet that is for a security camera as well as holiday lighting that can be hung on the exterior of the house for holiday times. And the switches are actually connected to a light switch that can turn off one switch for the holiday lighting, and the other outlet in that box is always on for security cameras in the future. I'm not installing them right now, but it's an item I want to do in the future. So, and then also having exterior outlets embedded in the ground for your yard or your exterior space and landscaping for things like yard lights or sprinkler systems or anything really. I mean, you could have a fountain that the pump needs to be plugged in for the fountain, and that sits out in the middle of your yard. So any kind of electrical work that you're planning on having in your landscaping or in your yard or in the exterior of your home, that's something you want to keep in mind as well when you're thinking about electrical work for your home. So mistake number 3 that I would say people make is choosing lighting, the appropriate lighting, the amount of lighting for their home. You need to think about where you want lights. How much light do you want? Do you have a limited amount of windows and natural lighting in your house that will require more electrical lighting? And not just about the lighting in the ceiling, but also lighting that is accent lights, task lights, pendant lights. Do you want electrical fans to be in the ceiling? Do you want an outdoor fan for your patio area? Do you want pendant lights over an island space or a kitchen counter? Any kind of pendant lighting or task lighting, ambient lighting, Are you going to plan to use a lamp somewhere? Do you want some kind of sconces somewhere? A lot of stairways have sconces. So, and especially on the outside of the house as well, what kind of lighting do you want on the outside? Do you want, like for me, I'm going for more of a modern farmhouse look. So do you want that like farmhouse, old school barn type lighting? Or are you hoping for more of that modern industrial style lighting? So thinking about what do I need to have wired, and what do I need to talk to the electrician about as far as lighting goes. And before they install anything, they will walk around the framed house and they will mark up your floor, your frame, with all of the things that they're planning to install and areas that they're going to be putting lights in. So for me, they had a set number of lights that the electrician did recommend, but it's just something to keep in mind is for each room, what kind of lighting do I want in the room? How much lighting do I want in the room? And do I want any extra little lighting like under cabinets or shelving lighting in your closet space? So just something to keep in mind and think about and talk to with your electrician, because some things require more wiring for future planning in terms of lighting. So mistake number 4 right now is not having a dedicated number of circuits for the wiring in your house. I kind of already touched on this point earlier, but right now I'm standing in what is going to be my kitchen. So if you're not planning ahead and thinking, hey, I'm gonna have an oven, a microwave, a range, if your stovetop, cooktop is gonna be electrical or gas, all the lighting that's gonna be going in the kitchen, are you gonna have underlighting for your kitchen cabinets? Are you going to have a garbage disposal that needs electrical work, a dishwasher, a fridge, all these little things that add up that require additional circuitry and additional wiring, plus all of the exterior wiring. So planning ahead and making sure that you actually have enough circuits in your breaker and that can cover all that wattage is super important. So it's important, even if you're not installing this yourself, if you're having an electrician do the work, it's still important to talk about these things with your electrician so that they know, okay, here's the amount of wattage and power and wiring that I need to install so that these new homeowners aren't constantly just popping breakers left and right, So definitely an important thing to keep in mind is communicating with your electrician. There's going to be a stovetop, a range, a cooktop, all the things that you're wanting in your house, and making sure that they are aware of everything that you've picked out, because they're working on countless other houses, so they don't know what you've picked out, only you do. So you have to communicate that with them as well as your builder, and be in constant communication with them, and get most of it in writing if you can, just so that there's a paper trail of, hey, we talked about this. If there's a mistake in the future, you can go back and refer to that email and say, no, this is remember we talked about this is what I wanted, so let's get that fixed, please, because you said you could fix it, you said you could install it, and it's not being installed. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is just planning ahead, making sure you get enough electrical in for the breakers, and getting a paper trail as well, communicating with your electrician and with your builder to make sure everything gets installed exactly the way you want it. Mistake number 5, another mistake that I've heard a lot of people make, and suggestions that both my electrician and several people I've talked to that have built their own homes as well have suggested to me, is just planning for future items in your household. Again, I kind of already touched on this point with the generator being a possibility in my future, but if you're planning in your future to switch to an electric style vehicle that will require some kind of charging station, or you want to install security cameras in the future, or if you are celebrating a holiday and you want to hang up holiday lights throughout your home, these are all things that you need to discuss with your builder, that maybe in the future I would like to have the option to upgrade. I'm just not ready to do that right now financially, or I haven't fully made up my mind when it comes to that particular item. The good news is it's not that much more expensive at all for the electrician to just add a wire in for a later install. So for me, there's already a place now for that future generator that I can't afford right now, but in the future I will be able to. I have no plans to upgrade to an electric vehicle ever. That's just my viewpoint. But some people want that. Some people want that option in their future. So I do plan to add in security cameras later on, and I do plan to, around holiday times, hang up holiday lighting throughout the exterior of the home, or just lighting outside on the back patio area for just events or parties or whatever. So that is something I communicated with my builder, that in the future I'd like to install some of these things. I'm just not ready to right now, or it's not the right season. But if you could add in that wire just so that it's available in the future, that would be great. And they did. So just something to keep in mind. Plan ahead, and it's not that much more expensive to just add an extra wire for the future. So mistake number 6 that I'd say people make, and sometimes it's unavoidable, is putting light switches in awkward spaces. So for me, my layout with the front door, what we found after everything was framed and built, was there wasn't really a whole lot of places for a light switch coming through the door. So what I ended up having to do, if you can see here, coming through the front door, there's a window here. The door opens this way, so I can't have a light switch here because it's behind the door. So my only option really for a light switch walking in the front door is putting it on this hall right here. And so you do have to take a couple steps into the house before you get to a light switch to actually turn on the lights. And it's unfortunate, but it's a small compromise that I made, because I could have put it on this side of the wall, but I didn't want the light switch board to be the first thing you see when you walk into the house through the front door. I'd like to hang some artwork here or some kind of nice accent or something, but I just didn't want it to be light switches. So that's personal preference. It's up to you. But having light switches in rooms in an awkward place is something you really want to think about, because if you're walking into a dark room and you're fumbling around looking for the light switch, it can be very difficult if it's not pretty close to the door. And most of the time the electrician has a pretty good idea of where to put it, and they'll mark up the rooms accordingly. But that's something you can talk about with your electrician. So just keep that in mind of where you're going to put light switches and how far into the room are you going to have to fumble around in the dark to find the light switch. So it's a mistake that people make. I, unfortunately, with this one, had that come up, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Sometimes it's just a mistake. So keep it in mind. So here we're in my master bedroom, and there are 4 can lights up in this room, and then right in the center, right here, is a light that is pre-wired for a fan, because I, personal preference, cannot sleep without some kind of white noise, fan, air flow. I need that like fan cooling. I get so warm at night. I need like the cold pillow, the airflow, the noise of the air, the noise of the fan. It's just a weird problem that I have. So I did ask for a ceiling fan, and they pre-wired that as an option in the future if I don't want to install one right away. But this is a ceiling fan wire in the middle of the room, and then 4 can lights throughout the room itself for a lot of light. There are also light switches in this room for lights to go on my nightstand, and I can get you a little bit closer here so that you can see right here. You can see the power outlet that has been wired here, and then the light switch here for these outlets, so that while sleeping, you can actually just flip the switch for the lighting that can be plugged into those outlets. And it's on both sides of the room, so if I switch off one here, it doesn't switch both of them, because in theory there would be two people sleeping in the bed, and either one should have control over their side. That was something that originally I didn't think of as a single person who's only ever really slept by himself, but the electrician did bring it up if I was ever to resell this property, or in the future get married and have someone else share this room with me. It's probably a good idea that these switches are independent of each other, and they don't control all the lighting with one switch or the other. So that's a thing that the electrician can bring up with you, is, hey, this is something to think about. So keep that in mind. Other things to show you in this room: in the master bathroom here, there is a light switch here, and then the lighting above the mirror has been pre-wired, so there can be significant lighting there. Also, a fan has been wired in there as well. All of the shower has been wired so that there's actually a light in the shower, because I picked pretty dark tile and there's no window in this shower, so there's no natural lighting. So there definitely needs to be a light in there, because I won't be able to see anything, and we don't want that, you know. I want to be able to see things. So all of that, and then the opposite wall on the master bedroom here, there is outlet installed higher up for a TV wall mount that I had requested, and then outlets down below for different things to be installed, like Xbox or PlayStation, or sound bar plugins. So just something to keep in mind if you're going to be installing, if you're going to be mounting your TV, to request that outlet higher up, so that you don't have a cord just on the wall. If there's anything I hate, it's exposed cords once the house is finished. Oh my goodness, it drives me nuts. So with the electrical being installed, now we can move to the outside of the house, and I can show you all of the siding that has gone into closing up and sealing up this house and waterproofing it and getting ready for fall winter time, so that they can move in here and really start bringing this house to a final finished product. This is not the final color of the house either. This is just the siding that has been installed, and next is going to be painting the actual house itself. And for that, I've decided to go with a darker color, which is like a grayish black, like a darker grayish black. I just really love the contrast of natural wood with a darker color like a grayish black. And for me, black gray, I know it's not technically a color, it's a shade, but it is one of my favorite colors. So I like it dark like the night. I'm Batman. No, in all seriousness, I do want it to be like this little cabin in the woods, and I'm doing kind of a black dark gray color on the outside, and on the inside I'll do really light white eggshell type paints on the inside of the house. I have white countertops going in. I have stainless steel appliances. So most of the house is much lighter on the inside and then darker on the outside. That's just what I wanted. It's a personal preference. I'm curious to know what if you could pick any house color, what color would you paint your house? Leave a comment down below. So another thing I wanted to show you is the outdoor patio space here. The builders came and the siding company came and completely covered this with pine wood, and man, it just looks so good. The electricians installed lighting. There's 4 lights, and then up in the very top there is wiring for an outdoor fan for the summertime when it gets hot. And then the siding company came in, and the subcontractors from the siding company came in and completely capped this whole section here with pine. And it just, oh man, it just looks so beautiful. It looks so beautiful. It's very Pacific Northwesty in my opinion, because you can see all of the wood grain and the knots, and I just love it. I love it so much. It makes it really feel like a cabin in the woods, you know? It's so cool. I just love how open it is, and immediately looks out into the back forested area. And I mean, the forest is right up against the house. I mean, you can really tell looking in the backyard. I really didn't get rid of that much forest because this is a house in the woods. It's a little house out in the woods. So, and another thing that you should also keep in mind is if you want to have any type of stone, masonry, brickwork on the bottom portion of your home or anywhere at all on your home. Mine just has siding that goes all the way down and straight to the foundation. However, some people, they'll do mid-level or 1/3 of the way up. They'll do stone, masonry, brick, river rock, depending on what style you want to go with. That's something you need to discuss with the person that's going to be doing the siding, whether it's your builder or a subcontractor that they're contracting out to, or if you're going to do it yourself, which if you're able to do it yourself, cool. I mean, it saves you some money, but for me, having a full-time job and limited resources, I'm not a builder, I'm a designer. So I know that there are people with more skills out there than myself that are able to do it in a way that I want, that I'm not able to do myself. If you are able to do it yourself, good on you. Save some money. But I'm not, unfortunately. So, and if I could probably learn it, you know, things like woodworking or framing. I definitely would probably burn my house down if I tried to do all the electrical myself. It's not my area of expertise, you know? So, I'm just calling it like I see it. I'm not skilled in these areas. There are companies and people out there with far better skills than myself. So, know your limits. If you are building the house yourself, know what you're capable of, what you're not capable of. If you can wire the house yourself, if you're an electrician, if you're an engineer, cool, save some money. I just know that if I tried to do it myself, like I said, I'd probably end up burning my house down because I would measure wrong or do something wrong. It's just not my area of expertise. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind. Well, that's all for this episode of the Little Five. Next steps, we're going to be looking at actually getting this house sealed up and working on the interior, getting insulation installed, putting in sheetrocking, painting, getting hard surfaces installed. So now that fall is pretty much officially here, it's been raining all day today, we're really going to start to move inside and focus more on the interior of the house so that this house can start to be wrapped up and finished and ready for move-in. We're getting closer and closer to move-in day each and every week, so stay tuned. And thanks for watching. You're still here. It's over. Go watch another video. Go on. Preferably one of mine. Click the box. Click it. Go on now. Go.